Um, yeah, here in Bayonne, my aunt lived across the street here, across the catty corner, and she lived on the first floor. But the first floor is literally 12 steps to get down. So for years, she just was a shut-in. She never left the house. She was crippled. She just never left the house. And so I never thought about it. Just and Helen never left the house. That's just the way it is. But I didn't realize that. Yeah, the butcher had no access. The deli across the street had no access. The church had no access back in the 70s and 80s. The churches had no access, so she couldn't go anywhere. But I never really thought about it until I noticed that my friends that had wheelchair issues, they had steps everywhere in Bayonne. Hudson County is really bad. You see steps everywhere, and I'm like, wait a minute, how do people in wheelchairs get in these places? So I started going around and asking these businesses, do you have a ramp? Do you have a ramp? Nobody had ramps. And they would get mad at me because I'd pull my phone out and I'd have a camera and I'd be like filming people like, do you have a wet ramp? And they would get mad at me. Sometimes they would lie and smile and then nothing would happen though. But when they would engage with us, that's when we would get a ramp. I got assaulted 3 times doing this on Broadway. The one guy assaulted me. One lady assaulted me. She literally sold wheelchairs. That was her store sold wheelchairs, but she had no wheelchair access. So we go there. My friend was in a wheelchair with multiple sclerosis, and I'm like, "Hey, where's your wheelchair ramp?" She's like, "Turn off your phone." I said, "Where's your wheelchair ramp?" She's turn off your phone. And then she slammed the door in my face. So I said, "Okay, we're going to sue you." So she comes running out, and she comes out and she starts hitting me. She hit me twice, and I hit the ground. And I'm laying there, so I call the police. Police come. I take her to court and I say, listen, I'll drop the charges if you put a wheelchair ramp in. So she put a wheelchair ramp in and we dropped the charges. And it was like, I had to do that 3 times with 3 different people. Now we donate ramps. You see a couple of ramps out there in the garage. We're going to donate them to whoever we feel needs one, which a lot. You need about 100 ramps in Bayonne, maybe 200 ramps in Bayonne. The police station has no wheelchair access. The library has no wheelchair access. They just put a brand new park on 47th and Broadway. Half of it has no wheelchair access. It's like, I don't get it. It's a brand new park.
One of the reason I realized that there was wheelchair issues was when I went to university, and my the school I went to was very very ADA accessible, and then suddenly I just saw all these people in wheelchairs. I'm like, why didn't I see these people before? And it's that's why it's they can get here. That's why I can see them. So yeah.
We just went to Englewood. My friend told me about Englewood, that there's bad wheelchair access up there. So me and Bong Holia went to Englewood, and I went as El Rampador. I had my mask on in my chair, and we went around. And sure enough, the wheelchair access was terrible. The post office, the federal post office, had no access. I mean, there's a federal law, the ADA. You think that all federal buildings would be in compliance, but no, there's 15 steps to get into the post office. They're like, oh, you have to go around back. So we go around back, and it's all overgrown. It's rusty. It's paint's chipping. It looks scary. It looks like a horror movie set. And we're back there trying to get a stamp, and it was just scary. I felt like, second-class citizen go around the back door. You lose your dignity. A lot of people, when you're in wheelchairs, they take away your dignity because you have to go through all these steps and jump through all these hoops to get into a building, and people have to pick you up and carry you, or you have to leave your wheelchair outside. And why would you want to leave your wheelchair outside when there's so many issues? And it's so thank you so much for putting some light on this issue, because the politicians don't seem to care. The councils, I've been to Bayonne Council a dozen times. Nothing. I want them to pass an ordinance where if you have a new business, you should be compelled to have wheelchair access as a new business, because you a lot of 1 and 2 steps. Now I could see, okay, you have 4 and 5 steps. It might be a bigger job, but the town should subsidize that. The town actually subsidizes signage. If you have a sign on your business, the town will pay for half of it. Well, the town should pay for half of the wheelchair access, because that's even more important than the sign, I would think.
So just in terms of before we get too into things,
yeah,
would I be able to move lights, because you're very, very
sure
dark?
I'm very dark. Oh yeah, you want light on me like here?
Yeah.
How about these? Like that, and then I could put this one on me. How about that? That might help. Ooh. Is that better?
Let's see.
Ay.
Any chance could we? Is there any more lights?
No, that's it. That is it. Really dark. You want to put the camera maybe closer? Maybe down. Will that help?
The next step is going to be just like post production.
Okay.
Oh wait, let's see if we can do this. Oh wait, there you go. This tripod is definitely not for this camera, so if you hear like a clunk, that might help.
Oh no. It's a nice camera. It's a nice tripod too. Let's see.
I might leave this. I'm gonna leave this.
Oh, right on. Okay. Oh, I have some. Oh, you have a stand? Or
It's not really stand. It's usually.
I have one over here. I can probably use this. Yeah. It's fine. You take this. This right in here. Yeah. This is so old. This is from the 70s.
Maybe just like step it on.
Was it? Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll put it over here in front of me. Okay. Oh, cool. I feel like I'm at a press conference now. Okay. Lefty Grimes. Cool. Right on.
So one of the things is you just periodically, like after every like I don't know 3 questions or something, make sure that the battery is still on.
Okay, check it.
It like dies.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay.
Hi. So one of the things that that I want to do is that there's a lot of people will have all these like excuses for wheelchair access of like, well, there's like these like companies that like can help, and then there's like these other things that like could help. So why are you just can you tell me why you're doing this?
I see a lot of patients, medical cannabis patients, struggling as it is without wheelchairs. And then I see my friends in wheelchairs, and it's even more hoops to jump through. And my friends just a lot of people in wheelchairs don't have time to fight. They're just trying to live their lives. They're basically happy to be alive for that day. A lot of them are struggling with epilepsy, cancer, the sickest of us. People that are really sick and dying are in wheelchairs, and the excuses I hear are it's going to cost too much money, or we have no need for it. We don't see a lot of people in wheelchair. A lot of people say, we've never seen anybody in a wheelchair come in here before. Well, you have no access. So how would you know? Because people in wheelchairs are not going to go up those 3 steps. They're just going to keep going by. They're not going to stop, but I will. I'll fight for them. The saddest thing I've seen was in Bayonne. I saw a little boy about 10 years old with a helmet on. And if you know what a helmet on a little boy means, it's epilepsy, drop seizures. They could fall and die at any time. So they're just happy to be alive. Now, this kid had a 400-pound wheelchair. Now, that's a little 200-pound wheelchair. That's a small one. This kid had a 400-pound wheelchair, the ones that you can move with your mouth, and it's huge. There's no way you're lifting this up to get in a building. So he was trying to get his hair cut. A little 10-year-old kid just wants to get his hair cut. He couldn't because there was a step to get in there. And I said to the parents, I said, what are you going to do? What's the story? They're like, no, we just know we have to go 20 blocks down this way to get our hair cut. And we have to go there. We know where we have to go. They go out of their way. So they don't have time to fight. So I'm fighting for kids like that little 10-year-old kid. It saddens me when I think about it, because he was fighting for these people. Because the parents are fighting for their child, but they're not fighting the government. They're fighting for the kid's life. So I'll fight the government. I'll fight these entities that are holding us back, that are keeping us from wheelchair accessibility. This law was passed back in 1993, I believe it was, and we still have no wheelchair accessibility. We have post offices without wheelchair access. Like I said, I went to Englewood last week, and I was shocked to see the post office had no wheelchair access. There's police stations without wheelchair access all over New Jersey. Brielle has no access to their police station. South Amboy. And South Amboy is not going to fix it because they're having a new police station built in 2 years. So for the next 2 years, there's no wheelchair accessibility. So we set up a ramp, and we went down that ramp and showed the police that we need a ramp, and told the town council that we need a ramp. They just don't seem to care. There's just no compassion, and we're trying to create awareness so we get compassion, because these people are suffering. And I ask a lot of these councils, spend a day in a wheelchair, spend 1 day in a wheelchair, and nobody has taken me up on that yet, not one. And I wonder why.
Can you tell me about the experience in Brielle?
We went to Brielle years ago with my friend Jeff, and my friend Brian. Jeff had stage 4 cancer. Brian has multiple sclerosis, and we went to the Brielle Council meeting because they banned medical cannabis, and we found out that they had no wheelchair access to the council or to the police station. So my friend Jeff and my friend Brian forced themselves up those steps to get to that meeting. It was very hard for them. Brian they both had walkers and wheelchairs. So going into that council meeting, they said they were going to do something about it. Nothing was done about it. And what was interesting about Brielle is that they pray before their council meeting. A few towns have done this, and I appreciate when you pray before a council meeting. But if you're praying to Jesus, and to if you're a Christian, you're supposed to leave the 99 and go back for the one. You're supposed to be helping the people, the ones that are left behind. And I don't see that. And a lot of these towns that are praying, I don't see it. And I'm like, well, there's a disconnect here. Because if you're praying, what are you praying for if you're not praying for someone who the last? Keep putting the last first. So there's a disconnect all around New Jersey with this issue. I see it. Brielle was on our list again this year, so we decided to take a ramp that had no business fitting there, because you have about 7 steps in Brielle, so you need about 30 foot of ramp, pretty much. So we had an 8-foot ramp. So we set the 8-foot ramp up. I get in my wheelchair, and I start going down this incline, which is very dangerous. My wheelchair is bouncing up. The cop comes out. He's watching me. The cop's in a bad position, because if he helps us and something happens, he's in trouble. If he doesn't help us and something happens, he's in trouble. So he just kind of stood there and watched this happen. So I get to the bottom. And I had a bottle of Neurontin I was trying to get rid of. So I dumped it in the drug box. And so then Mikey Bongolio had to push me up the stairs. And it was very scary, because I was like on an incline going straight up. It was crazy. But that's the kind of stuff we're willing to do to create awareness for this issue, because Brielle, it's shocking that this is a police station. How do you get in there if you're in an emergency situation? the door's locked. You have to hit the button. Same in Bayonne. There's no wheelchair access at night. When the doors are locked, you have to go around to the side of the building in Bayonne. That intercom was just fixed a few months ago. Before that, it didn't work. And there's steps. Union City was the same deal. What was the other? Brielle, Union City, Bayonne, and South Amboy. Yeah, it was 4 so far. That's the only 4. So far, we've only found 4.
Could you tell me about what is the law that you're referring to? The
Americans with Disabilities Act. And there's a lot of processes in there where you have to give, if you make any changes, or there's codes you have to follow for disability access for all buildings, all public buildings. You have to be compliant, make reasonable accommodations. It's reasonable. So a lot of these buildings are grandfathered in because the ADA was passed in the 90s. If your building was built in the 80s, you're grandfathered in, and grandfathers are grandfathered out. That's how I look at it. And it's sad because that needs to change. Sorry, I'm hitting your mic. But sorry, that needs to really change. We need to look out for the sick and the dying and the elderly. People in strollers. You forget people with strollers. Women with strollers have issues getting in and out of buildings also.
And then tell me about, what are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Wait,
let's step back. What is your wish that would happen?
I wish that Bayonne would pass an ordinance that would include people with disabilities in the urban enterprise zone. The urban enterprise zone traditionally gives 3.5% tax breaks to people that go shopping there. Unless you're in a wheelchair and you can't access those same tax breaks because you can't get into those buildings. So for years, people in wheelchairs are missing out on tax breaks. So what Bayonne needs to do, and other towns need to do, is pass ordinances that when you have a new business, you have to be compliant. And to get your certificate of occupancy, you need to be wheelchair compliant. And that includes your bathrooms also. There's an app I'd like to make that would be an app where you could see what has access. If you want to go on Google, they'll tell you what has access, but they won't really look into it. They'll say, oh yeah, police stations have access to this, but they're wrong. They're wrong on a lot of them. So I want to make an app where if you were in a wheelchair and you need to go somewhere and you need access to a bathroom or something, you can find access. You can find a restaurant that has access. Like when we were in Englewood, my Mikey Bongholio said to me, "We're not going to find a place with a ramp." I'm like, let's keep going. We'll find one. Sure enough, the last place we went to had a ramp. They pulled out a ramp. It was a Thai restaurant, and they had a ramp. So we went in and had Thai food, and it was the best Thai food we ever had. It was amazing. Like they gave us a straw, and they made with the paper, they made a little rose on top of the straw, like attention to detail. So we would never have experienced that had they not had a ramp. But since they had a ramp, we went in there and experienced one of the greatest meals we ever had, and we're going to go back there again. So it just takes a little compassion, a little forethought to go on Amazon. $70. If you have one step, it's a $70 fix. You can get a ramp and have it delivered in 2 days and change someone's life for the better. So yeah, I want businesses to be compelled to get these ramps. I want the government to be compelled to get these ramps. You have legislative offices for our senators and assembly women and people that have no access.
1 second.
You're still good here.
It records in 10-minute intervals.
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling. So Angela McKnight had no access in Jersey City to her legislative office. We went there and called around on it pretty much and asked her if she could put wheelchair access in. And she finally did. And it was great because she has a big step there. So she needed a long ramp, and she got one. So people in wheelchairs can go into your legislative offices. But that's a no-brainer. All legislative offices need to be compliant. I talked to Senator Stack about this. We need a Senate bill for all of New Jersey that covers all public buildings, all legislative offices to be compliant with the ADA because they're not. New businesses that open up in Hudson County need to be compliant with the ADA. That's what we want. We need compassion and putting the last first.
Can you talk about the you guys visiting different cities and different towns?
We have been to hundreds of municipalities. It started off with cannabis activism. We started going to police stations when they legalized it for medical use. Um, the police didn't know that we had a medical cannabis law. And we talked to one police officer in Keensburg, and he said that he would arrest us if we started using our medical cannabis. So we were like, this is not right. So we need to go out and start creating awareness to the police stations. Because rather than wait for them to arrest us, let's go to them and film them and get that going. So we started going to police stations, filming them, and asking them, where do we smoke cannabis around here? And a lot of them were like, what? You can't smoke cannabis. Like, okay, can you talk to someone? And then they would run it up the chain, and they would get an answer from the prosecutor or the the state police, and they'd find out, yeah, you can smoke cannabis wherever you can smoke cigarettes. And they would say, oh, yeah, go out by the flagpole, go over there by the bench. So for years we did that. And then we started doing the wheelchair activism because we noticed there's an overlap with wheelchairs and cannabis users, cannabis patients. And so we started doing that wheelchair access. And a lot of these towns that are banning medical cannabis also have horrible wheelchair access. So I would go to these towns and ask them, like, if you have a disabled vet in a wheelchair, how far do you expect them to wheel themselves to get their medicine? They can get pharmaceuticals right here. They can get booze over here. They can get tobacco here, but they can't get the medicine that's going to help them with their PTSD. You got 20 vets a day that are literally killing themselves. And what are we doing about it? We're taking their medicine away. This is medicine. This is not something that's pothead stuff. This is medicine. A lot of them call them pop chops and potheads, and there's a stigma. There's still a huge stigma against us as cannabis patients. And we're trying to create awareness to stop that stigma, the stigma against wheelchairs, the stigma. I have a stigma even with my cane. When I use my cane, I feel like it's a sign of weakness, because if someone sees you with that cane, maybe you're going to get mugged, maybe you're going to get robbed. People look at you different, I think. Or when you're in a wheelchair, I notice people look at me different in a wheelchair. There's a stigma. And we need to erase that stigma and create more awareness for that. And I think I went off the topic on your question. I'm sorry.
But, I'm trying to get to the why is it important to actually visit?
Yeah, we need to show these towns. Well, a lot of times we don't want to visit. We want to do it online, and the problem is a lot of these towns are going back to in-person meetings, which is good in a way. But if you're in a wheelchair, if you're homebound, it's hard to get to those meetings. So we try to create awareness for that also, that we want all these meetings to be available as hybrids like we used to, because for 19 months they gave us these meetings. They did it for healthy people. For 19 months, we got all the things we asked for online church, online school, online work, online council meetings. And that's what disabled people have been asking for years. So for 19 months, disabled people got those things, but it was for healthy people. It wasn't for us. It was for the healthy people. So they wouldn't get sick. So, okay. And now they're going back to in-person meetings. I'm like, well, wait, you did it for 19 months for healthy people. Why can't you do it for disabled people now? So now we actually go to these meetings and we create awareness at these meetings for our wheelchair issues. A lot of these towns don't have wheelchair accessibility. So we like to go there and take it to them. Take it right to them. Take the fight to them. A lot of people don't want to fight anymore. A lot of people want to do it. Go online and be a keyboard warrior and say, I hate this, I hate that, and nothing happens. And you can actually write letters to your legislator. Nothing really happens. You need to actually go there in person, put it on video, put it on blast on social media, and make a stink. You have to create a stink, a squeaky wheel. We got a lot of heat for Bong Holio in the beginning, but Bong Holio turned out to be a huge awareness creator over the years, and now El Rampador is doing the same thing, creating awareness, just being loud. It's a very loud face mask. I wear very loud shoes. I wear yellow Crocs or my rainbow Crocs to try to be visible, be visible in the crosswalks, be visible for the wheelchair access. But we take it to them. We want to take it to them.
Why is it important to verify that things are accessible? That's what I'm trying to ask.
It's important to verify that things are inaccessible. Well, there is no. Oh, okay, I understand. There's a lack of awareness for this issue. Unless you're in a wheelchair or you know somebody in a wheelchair, you know somebody who's sick, it doesn't affect you. And until it affects you, you're not going to be bothered with it. And like I said, I was ignorant to this for years. Uh, I don't know if I talked about this on camera, but my aunt across the street was homebound for 40 years. And I just thought that was normal. And it actually wasn't normal. But for years, I was ignorant to it because just thought, oh, Aunt Helen just doesn't leave the house. But there was nothing available for her to go to. The butcher was closed. The store was closed. The churches were closed. She couldn't do anything. So, and that still happens today with the ADA being 30, 40 years old now. It's still happening. There's still no awareness. We need to create the awareness. And thank you for helping us create this awareness, because we need to create awareness with the media, with politicians, with everybody, because we have like I said, 20 vets a day are killing themselves. We have people that are sick and dying that just need help. Put the last first.
Did you say you didn't want your aunt's story on video?
I think I talked about her a little on video. She was crippled for 40 years across the street here, and like I said, I never thought about it. Just Aunt Helen just never left the house. People used to come deliver stuff to her through her window. The priest would come and deliver her mass and communion, and she would read her prayer books all day and watch TV all day and smoke cigarettes all day. And that was her life, and never left the house though. And it took me to be an activist years later as an adult to realize, wow, my aunt never left the house because of there was nothing to go to. And I felt really bad that I was so ignorant, that I should have been maybe more aware back then. But that's why I try not to judge people for their ignorance, because I was ignorant for many years. So I just try to create awareness. And once I create awareness for you and then you're still ignorant, willfully ignorant, well, then we have an issue. And then we're going to call you out and try to, compel you to get a ramp. We've gotten up 40 ramps in Bayonne by just going out there with my phone and, where's your wheelchair ramp? And with my camera, GoPro, whatever. And a lot of people don't like being on camera. So it's a good, it's a field leveler. It makes the playing field level when you have a camera, especially when you go to council meetings and you put them on blast and you put businesses on blast that are not being compliant. It helps. And then it helps to create awareness for other issues, like for cannabis patients.
I'm gonna
Still good here.
Okay, I'm gonna read it. Can you talk about? So, are you a wheelchair user?
Yes.
Can you talk more about that?
Yes, I have. I've been through a bunch of surgeries. I have an artificial disc, L4, L5. I have a fusion, L5S1. I have a 2-level cervical fusion here. I had a surgery on my shoulder. So I don't like to use my cane because of my shoulder hurts me. So I have a lot of issues. I have sciatic pain, a lot of pain that I deal with every day. I was on opiates for 10 years, and I choose to use cannabis now. I got off those opiates using cannabis. And it wasn't easy. It took me 10 months of I had to go cold turkey 4 times to get off those opiates. My doctors had me on 90 milligrams of roxicodone every 3 hours, which is an incredible amount of opiates. So it was very difficult with the amount of pain that I'm in to get off those pills. So I help others to get off opiates, because if I can get off opiates with the amount of pain that I have to deal with, if you're using it for fun, believe me, I can help you. I can help you get off opiates, because I can do it with my pain. And I know people have mental pain, and I get that. I have mental pain too. But physical pain, when you're going off opiates, I was literally in the fetal position after the 3rd day. And I should have made it a lot easier on myself by using more cannabis, by using edibles, by using tinctures, even suppositories. That would have helped it be easier. But it can be done. It can be done. So what was the question again? I'm sorry.
So are you a wheelchair user, and like how did that
Yes.
happen?
So I use my wheelchair to get around. Like at the 420 Expo, there's no way I could have walked around all that day with my back. But my wheelchair gives me superpowers, because now I can go all over. I can carry stuff. I can do things I couldn't normally do. I can do wheelchair activism when I have my wheelchair. I can't walk that far. Once I walk a certain amount, I'm done. My sciatica kicks in. Once I walk a certain amount, I'm done, because my sciatica will kick in, and and I'll have to stop, and I'm in huge pain. That wheelchair will keep me going all day, which is amazing. It helps me with my activism, helps me with my back, it helps me doing things socially, just going around. So yeah, I've experienced life in a wheelchair, but it's not the push wheelchairs. It's an electric wheelchair, so it's like a scooter. The push wheelchairs, it's a whole different world, because you got to think about it. You're getting everything that's on the ground that's on your hands. So one day, my friend Justin was pushing himself in his push wheelchair, and all of a sudden, he has blood all over his hand. I said, Justin, what happened to your hand? He's like, I went over some glass. He went over glass, and he got the glass on his hand from the wheel. Things you don't think about when you're not in a wheelchair, but when you're in a wheelchair, those are things you have to think about. There's stuff on the ground you don't want to step in. Well, you might go over in your wheelchair and get it on your hand. So my friend Justin used his gloves. Justin went to Jersey City with me a few years ago. There's a public library on Marion Branch. It's 2 or 3 steps. Can't get in there in a wheelchair. So he did something called the Jersey City jump. So he got himself up on the top step and jumped off the top step onto the concrete. Jersey City jump. Boom. That's what we had to do.
Wow.
But yeah, I do use a wheelchair, and it helps me a lot to get around, because it's an electric wheelchair. And this is when I see a lot of the issues, because the sidewalks are terrible in Bayonne. If you're in a wheelchair, the sidewalks, they're like 3-inch jumps that you have to go over. There's people blocking the sidewalk with their cars. People just shocking, the things I've seen with the wheelchair access in Bayonne, especially.
Yeah. Could you talk more about? I know that you talked about how like sometimes you stand and then people go like, oh, but you can stand
All the time. People are shocked that I can stand. They think that I'm faking it, that I'm faking my injuries. I don't know what I would be faking it for, but they think I'm just here to start trouble with people. And sometimes I am. Yeah, sometimes I am looking for a fight, because yeah, if I've been to your store 5 times, there's a coffee shop here. 5 times they've cursed at me. They've told me, they've been obscene with me, telling me all kinds of, give me the finger. So yeah, I go back there and I'm looking for a fight now with them, because yeah, you're not going to give me wheelchair access, and you're going to give me the finger and give me all kinds of yeah, okay, we're going to be out here and we're going to take it to you. You're on the corner of 53rd, 54th and Broadway, the most busiest intersection in Bayonne. So we're out there with Bongholio and the wheelchair, and we have a song. It's called "Keep Your Wheelchairs Home." It's, hey, hey, ho, ho, that ugly step has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, your wheelchair access really blows. And it's an EDM, it's a techno track kind of, and we play it outside their store, because that's what we're doing now. We're creating, trying to create awareness across the street. Mrs. Fields put in a brand new Mrs. Fields without wheelchair access. We started going there, looking for trouble, because they told us that, oh, I'm faking it. The guy oh my goodness, the guy at Mrs. Fields told us that, oh, the coffee shop across the street said that you can walk and that you don't need a wheelchair. So so okay, so what does that mean? Even if that's true, what does that mean? You're going to ignore that I can't get into your shop? So finally, after writing to corporate and getting corporate involved, Mrs. Fields put a ramp in across the street from the coffee shop. So now we're working down Broadway. So I'm leaving the coffee shop one day. We're protesting the coffee shop one day. We're finished. And I'm leaving, and I'm going down the street, and I'm minding my own business in my wheelchair, going down the street. Some other lady from another business comes out and starts yelling at me. Oh, I seen you up there at the coffee shop. Take your mask off. Take your mask off. Show me who you are, blah, blah, blah. Now, this lady comes out of a store that has no ramp, that has no wheelchair access. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? You're not even on my radar right now. I'm just trying to go home. So she creates a big stink. She calls the cops. God bless the Bayonne police. The Bayonne police have been so helpful. They come and they told her, yes, ma'am, he has a right to be out here protesting, and you really need to get a ramp. They went inside and they compelled her. Listen, you should get a ramp. She comes outside. She's like, yeah, you know what? We're going to get a ramp. And I waited a couple of weeks for her to get a ramp. She never got one. So I bought her a ramp, and I brought it to her one day. and it's called Childish Glow, right on Broadway here. They sell soaps and stuff like that. Really nice store, really nice lady. And so I gave her a ramp. We had a bit. We hugged it out, and it was a good thing because we created awareness for the issue. We were able to solve a problem. The police mediated the issue, explained to her and to everyone else that we're allowed to protest. We have a right to protest. That's one thing that the First Amendment gives us, the right to protest these businesses. So if you're going to be ignorant and not have wheelchair access, yeah, we're allowed to stand in front and protest you and play songs. And unfortunately, in Bayonne, there's no noise ordinance, so we can actually be out there and be kind of loud and be obnoxious. So sorry for your luck.
So one of the things that, because you guys are like protesting loudly,
Yeah.
one of the things is like, I think a lot of people go like, if you just like quietly ask like why, could you talk about just because the ADA was passed so long ago, like that expansive amount of time that no one's done things.
No, you have to really shake it up to create awareness because we're forgotten. People in wheelchairs are forgotten. You don't normally see them unless they're out in public and
then why aren't they seen?
They're not seen. They're looked over. They're just not seen. I don't understand it. I know.
Go, like, why aren't they seen? Like physically, the reasons why they're not seen.
Well, physically, I don't think people like to look at people in wheelchairs.
I was going to say there's no access, but
I don't think people like to see it. Well, that's another issue. But yeah, you don't see people in wheelchairs because there's no access is one reason. But you don't see people in wheelchairs because there's a stigma. Like I said, there's a stigma, and you kind of just when you see someone in a wheelchair, you kind of look away. You don't, or if a kid says, "Mommy, what's going on?" Don't talk to them. Don't talk to them. When really the kid should just go up and say, "Hey, how you doing? What's up?" People in wheelchairs want to be treated just like anybody else. You're still good here too. But yeah, they're not seen. They're not seen because they're not able to get into a lot of these places. We just went to a Greek restaurant in Morristown, and another issue with a great restaurant, there was steps to get into this restaurant. So I'm like, I really don't want to support this place. It's got steps. I don't want to support any place that has steps. We decided to go in anyway, give it a shot, and maybe talk to them about wheelchair access and what they can do. So we went in there, and apparently they did have wheelchair access around the back, but they didn't realize it until I mentioned it. Yeah, well, I have a friend in a wheelchair. How would he get into this restaurant? They're like, oh, well, we can get in through the back. We never thought about it until you mentioned it, but yeah. So then they showed me in the back. There's an entrance. So what they need to do is put some signage in the front that says wheelchair access in the back, and maybe light it up a little better. So it turned out to be the best Greek restaurant we've ever been to. So that was really, really cool. So, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Why aren't they seen?
Yeah, they're not seen because, like I said, they can't get in. And a lot of people don't want to look at people in wheelchairs. They want to look away and look around them, look anywhere but there. It's sad. It is sad.
So our newspaper, we're localized in Monmouth and Ocean County. Could you talk about specific? I know you talked about Brielle, but like other specific places in Monmouth or Ocean County, do you know that you visited?
We went to Surf City because they banned medical cannabis. And it turns out the mayor of Surf City owns a strip mall that has no wheelchair access. So we went to that strip mall, and my poor friend Michelle, she couldn't get in to the strip mall. And we had been doing wheelchair access videos all day. So we go to the strip mall, and she can't get in. It starts raining. So she's outside in the wheelchair getting rained on while the rest of us are under the wheelchair, the accessible part. And it was about 4 or 5 stores under this thing where the strip mall that had no access, that the mayor owned. And I was just shocked to see that in a shore town like Surf City. A lot of shore towns have converted houses that are converted, but they never think about wheelchair access. And a lot of towns make them put in the handicapped parking, but then they don't make them put in the handicap access. But they make them pay for the handicap parking, though, even though it's not going to go anywhere. I've seen it in Harvey Cedars. I've seen a ramp going to a step. I've seen a step going up to a ramp in Harvey Cedars. I've seen just about everything you could see. I've seen places where you have a sign that says they have access. You open the door and there's steps. It's like, whoa.
So what do you like hope people would do in terms of when they design these buildings and design these spaces?
Well, when they designed the new buildings, they seem to have fixed a lot of the new builds. Like when you go to Dunkin' Donuts, every Dunkin' Donuts I've ever seen is compliant. When they move in, they have to be compliant. That's why I was shocked when I saw Mrs. Fields move in without compliance, because Mrs. Fields usually is in malls. They moved here in Bayonne without access. So usually these big businesses, these corporate models will have these corporate models will come in and they have access. That's part of their business plan, is to allow everyone in the business, everyone into their business. So yeah, that's important.
Can you also talk about like your the your friends and then like your group of activists?
Uh, we're pretty much all disabled. All of my activist friends are disabled. You name it. We have everything from multiple sclerosis to cancer. We've lost a lot of friends. On our podcast, we have a list of our friends that we've lost. It's about 50 people so far. We lose about 1 out of 10 patients a year. So, and it's sad because a lot of us are suffering, and we are fighting for ourselves. And a lot of us are fighting, and we're having a hard time because we're hurting. We're sick. Like, I'm hurting a lot of times. I'm one of the healthiest ones out of the bunch, but I'm in a lot of pain, and I push myself a lot. And so a lot of us are suffering. A lot of us are in pain. So we know what it's like. We're very empathic towards other people that are in pain because we are suffering. So it's like a club. My friend Chris, he's the vice president of our organization. He was thrown from a car, and he had his pelvis fractured, shattered, and his urethra torn out. He's had dozens of operations over the years. He was in a wheelchair, and he fought his way out of that wheelchair. Walking with a cane now, and he inspires me because I'm fighting my way out of the wheelchair, like into the wheelchair. Like, I'm trying to keep myself from getting in that wheelchair permanently, but slowly I'm getting in there, and I'm trying not to. And he inspires me to keep moving and keep fighting and to work past that pain, to just keep going. Because he was in that wheelchair, and he fought his way out of that. He really suffered, and so we see suffering because we are suffering. So we see it in other people, and we want to help other people. Give them a hand up and help them up, because we could all use a hand up. You know.
Um, so one of the things that I used to work in disabilities, and one of the things that I see a lot of times are these people who, like able-bodied people, come in as angels and do like more stopgap solutions that aren't really activism. It's more of they rely too much on like private entities to do things like private transportation. Could you talk more about like a need for something else?
Like private,
So a lot of times it will just be like one person sees one person suffering and then would just like help this one person with one thing type of
oh,
thing.
yeah, but yeah, if you see one person suffering and you help, I see that in Tuckerton. Apparently, there was one person in Tuckerton that was in a wheelchair, and he forced that entire town to become compliant. I forget his name, but they know his name in Tuckerton, that's for sure. And he went around that town and made sure everything was compliant, um, except for the firehouse, of course. This is what we call them out for. Um, but yeah, people like that are amazing, and because they are helping other people. But yeah, we need more people to help the group of us, because a lot of times you'll see one person that's struggling. You want to help that one person with their struggles, and that town will be helped. But you need to do all the towns. Like, all these towns need to be compliant. We need a lot of guys from that guy from Tuckerton. We need him all over the place doing these things. Uh, it's not enough. It will be enough someday, but it's not enough now. There's too many issues right now.
Do you think it's thought of as like a charity thing, like a one-stop charity thing?
What do you mean?
Um, from working in disabilities, it's just I just know some people who they think that just because they're working in there that they're immediately this like good angel, and they're not willing to do like more.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're helping one person, but you're not helping
Yeah.
the whole group. Yeah. Well, you're helping one person. That's great, though. That's a start. That's step one. You got to start somewhere. So helping one person, then you help the second person, and you help the third person. So yeah, that's I'm happy with those angels. And if they want to be an angel, that's fine. We need more angels like that. So yeah, let's start with one person. Uh, but let's grow it. Let's keep it moving. Keep growing. Um, I know in Bayonne we need more angels like that in Bayonne. You see, you can walk down the street in Bayonne and you'll see, especially uptown here, Broadway on 54th, and just take a walk down to like 43rd Street. Steps everywhere, everywhere. So there's a lot of awareness that we need to create with a lot of people. We need more people to be doing this. So yeah, yeah, we need more of those angels. Yeah.
Hi. Um, could you talk? Actually, could you just first, because I didn't catch the. Could you just first do an introduction, like your name, who you are, where you
Okay.
grew up, and then what you do?
I'm Lefty Grimes. I'm with sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 here in New Jersey, fighting for cannabis patients' rights and for wheelchair access. And I'm here in Bayonne, where we started our activism, and we are continuing our activism because there's very little compassion and very little compliance, and we're fighting for that. And almost a never-ending battle. It seems sometimes.
And how long ago were you started?
I started doing activism for wheelchairs probably 2017. The cannabis stuff was a lot earlier than that. But like I said, there's an overlap. When I was helping cannabis patients, I see a lot of wheelchair overlap with cannabis patients. So yeah, but I'm here in Bayonne where everything started. I was actually born in this house, so there's a lot of good energy here. My first memory of life is like right here in this basement, right here with a little fire truck I used to drive around. So yeah, like when I was 3 years old. So yeah, good energy here.
And then could you talk about Bongholio?
Bongholio, it's my favorite bong ever. I'm serious. He makes me happy. When I smoke out of Bongholio, he makes me happy because he's a medical bong. He started out as a Halloween costume back in like 2014. So I knew about his Halloween costume. I thought it was great. So when me and Mikey started going around to council meetings and fighting for our cannabis patients' rights, we came up with a song. It was based on all the towns that you can't get cannabis in, and it was you can't get no weed here, you can't get no weed here, and I listed every song, every town. I listed every town that you can't get weed in: Barnegat, Berkeley, Bridgeton, Bridgewater, Brigantine, Carlstadt, Chatham, Clifton, Cranberry, East Rutherford, Elmwood Park, Emerson, Fairhaven, Freehold, Garfield, Hasbrook Heights, Hawthorne, Lovelate, Lodi, Jamesburg, Hazlitt, Mawa. You can't get no weed here, you can't get. Then it goes Manville, Mannington, Point Pleasant Beach, Hamilton, Caldwell, Oakland, Oceanport, Ridgewood, Ringwood, Seaside Heights, Seagirt, Shrewsbury, Secaucus, Surf City, Spotswood, Upper Freehold, Upper Saddle River Wall, and Wayne. I can keep going. But so we wrote this song and we started playing it at council meetings. And we were like, are we going to get away with playing music at a council meeting? Yeah, sure. It's First Amendment. So, and sure enough, they didn't stop us. So we started playing this song. And I'm like, hey, Mikey, can you play guitar in that bong? He's like, I don't know. Let's try it. Sure enough, he could play guitar in the bong. So we're like, let's try bringing the bong to a council meeting and see what happens. Man, that was amazing. We went to Seaside Heights and we sung the song at Seaside Heights because they banned medical cannabis. Nobody's ever seen nothing like that before. We sung the song, promenaded out, and it was funny because he was very tall at that time. The bong was like really tall, and he couldn't get out the doors. He kept hitting himself on the door. Hilarious. So Bongholio, it started off, it hit the ground running. It was great. And I really enjoy it. It makes me happy. It creates a lot of awareness for our issues. And it really is my favorite piece to use to smoke out of, because when you have a guy coming up to you in a bong, playing music, playing a song and singing for you while you can smoke him, like he's a smokable bong, you can use him. It just brings joy to me, and it brings joy to others. It brings such smiles to people's faces. People that are with cancer and MS are smiling because it's a wonderful thing. And we started off with a red bong. The red bong got destroyed, so now we're on a purple bong. And then we put the bong in a wheelchair this year. I'm not sure if we talked about that, but this year we put him in the wheelchair. The whole reason we have this diorama here is we had Bongholio get hit by a car and he broke his leg. So now he's in the wheelchair driving around Bayonne. So we're making our music video with Bongholio in the wheelchair driving around Bayonne, and it's ridiculous, and we love it.
And then can you talk about your getup?
El Rampador is my character. They named him on Facebook, El Rampador, and he goes around and fights for wheelchair access all around New Jersey, but especially in Bayonne. And it's been a great experience. People don't know how to deal with a guy in a wheelchair coming up to it with a mask on, with a phone and cameras all over him, asking you for wheelchair access. What do you deal with that? What would you do if someone came up to you like that? It's like, whoa, okay, whatever you want, buddy. Or they could say, hey, screw you, and those are the people that we want, because the people that fight with us are the ones that always get the ramps, which is uncanny. Some people just lie and smile and they never get the ramp, but the people that want to fight with us and the people you argue with, they always seem to get the ramp. I don't know how it works that way, but it works.
Is there anything else you like that?
Yeah, I would just hope for more compassion from our government. I would hope that there would be some statewide legislation with the Assembly and the Senate to create awareness and to help these issues, specifically legislative offices, public buildings, libraries, and even here in Bayonne, we have pharmacies without wheelchair access. So we need local ordinances that compel pharmacies. Like there's a pharmacy here in Bayonne that put a step in. They had 2 steps. They added an extra step. They added 3 steps. So I go in there and I ask them, hey, do you accept Medicare and Medicaid? Sure, we do. I said, well, you're not allowed to. It's illegal because you have no ADA compliance. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And I look at them like they're breaking the law. And there was like an impasse. Like, well, what? I'm like, yeah, you're breaking the law. You can't take Medicaid and Medicare if you have no wheelchair access. And that's a Liberty Pharmacy on Broadway. Just calling them out right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really hope this creates some awareness for this issue, and we get some more wheelchair ramps in New Jersey because of this.
Could I get some B-roll?
Yeah, absolutely. Have fun. Yeah.
And then, would you be willing to? Could I follow you around in a wheelchair?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to do some? We can go up on Avenue C, and I can show you how bad the access is on Avenue C. Right here, you can see the whole thing. What we're doing here. It's only a block up.
Are you going to be in Montfort Ocean County anytime soon, or?
Yeah, we're going down to Red Bank this month for wheelchair access video.
I definitely wanted. I cover Red Bank, so.
Oh yeah, because I went to Red Bank last week, and I went down Shrewsbury Avenue.
I read an article about Shrewsbury Avenue.
I'm like, wait a minute, there's steps everywhere. I'm like, I called Bongholio. I'm like, I got to Red Bank is next. He's like, yeah, I know. Let's go.
Hi.
Like,
yeah, I do want to follow you. I do want to follow like really fast.
Wow, Red Bank, really? I thought it was like a newer town. I thought it was like, and some of it is new. You could see some of the people really went out to put ramps in. Some of them really went out of their way, but a lot of them, like a lot of the sidewalks look redone. The sidewalks are beautiful, but then some of them are like, whoa. What else in Red Bank has no access? Do you know anything offhand? Police station's okay, right?
I believe so.
Library.
Actually, I know police station is okay.
Post office.
I believe I haven't been to the post office. I believe the library also is okay, but it is an older building, so I'm not too sure. Yeah, I'm gonna check the library. Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, Red Bank, really? And then we're gonna go to Asbury. Asbury on the main drag. There's a lot of wheelchair accessibility. So there's a place that has a sign that says, "Oh, we accept everybody. We accept Black people. We accept gay people. We accept this." Blah 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 blah. And that sign is right over a step. And I'm like, okay, I hope they have a ramp, because they weren't open. I didn't get a chance to see, but we're going to go there and see if they have a ramp. And I think I'm going to bring them a ramp if they have none, because, they have a sign that says the inclusion of everyone. Well, let's include people in wheelchairs to that list that you have there. So let's do that. Hi. Just gonna get some
Yeah. This is our city that we built. I could take the camera out. Well, we pass joints to each other with the cars. The cars actually move. Yeah. Like I'll put a joint in the car and
Wait,
then I'll
one
send it to Mikey.
second.
That's what we do. Yeah, I wish I had a joint to pass you. I don't have. That's what we used to do though. But yeah, this is where Bonholio got hit by the car, and then he's going into the ambulance.
So could you point again?
Oh, this is he's going into the ambulance here. That's actually Mayor Davis. He actually showed up one day. I don't know, out of the blue, and took a picture with us on the corner. So he's in our diorama now. Our friend Jeff Oakes is here. Our friend Jeff Oakes looks just like him. He came to the council meetings with us. He passed away from stage 4 cancer. We have him fishing here. We have him fishing in the sewer.
6,000.
Yeah, we have him fishing in the sewer. But that's our friend. He died from cancer, and he would come out to council meetings with a chemo bag strapped to his hip, literally strapped to his hip, and fighting in Ocean County. And he was from Oceanport, so he would do a lot of fighting in Monmouth County and Ocean County. And Ocean County was the worst for medical cannabis. They banned so many towns banned it, like Ocean City. It was really bad. And the fact that they have no wheelchair access to the beaches, that's another thing. They need those ramps. Those.
There is one, and it's like you go there and you can't go really.
Which one?
It's Long
Lavalette.
Beach.
Oh, Long Beach Island.
Yeah, that's they have. I was actually at an adaptive surf clinic thing, and you can't like it's the sand is just there's like so many like pothole like things. And it's just,
Yeah,
like, you can't go by yourself.
You need
Even
help.
though it is like wheelchair accessible.
Yeah. But we need more of those. Those pads are great. That girl that goes around doing those pads, she's an angel. She's amazing. That's okay. She goes and tries to get accessibility for these beaches. So yeah, she's great. But yeah, Lavalette, Seaside, they have those big wheelchairs that go into the water. A couple of years ago, I got baptized in Ocean City, and they had this kid get baptized in this huge, the big wheelchairs made out of PVC, and they put them in the water. That was really cool. We need more of those. Oh, what happened? That's not good. That's my shot here. I hope the lighting's okay. I need to get lighting for the studio. That's the one thing I need to invest in: some lighting, some real lighting, some bag lights, a couple of Did what I could with what I had to work with. But yeah, this diorama is what we brought to the Bayonne Council meeting, and we're making our music video, and this is part of our music video.
What is music video?
It's going to be called "Keep Your Wheelchairs Home," and the "Hey Hey Ho Ho, that ugly step has got to go." Let's see if I can play it. I'll probably play it for you. I think I have it here. Here. Files. This is probably an old version of it, but it should still work. Are we hooked up to the Bluetooth? Oh, you can hear it here. It sounds really better on the stereo. But this is it here. It's kind of a techno song. So.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, that ugly step has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, your wheelchair access really blows. Hey, hey, ho, ho, that ugly step has got to go. It's got to go, it's got to go, it's got to go, it's got to go.
So we play this in front of all these businesses, and it's not a good look for them. When you got a bong and a guy in a wheelchair with a mask on playing a song like this, and people are bobbing their heads to it, like, yeah.
Can't buy beans, can't buy potatoes, can't buy greens, can't buy tomatoes. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. I can't buy lamb, I can't buy hogs, I can't buy rams, I can't buy dogs. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. I can't buy chicken, I can't buy socks, I can't buy whiskey, I can't buy Crocs. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. I can't buy switchers, I can't buy sweets, I can't buy chips or my energy drink. A step is a wall. A step is a wall. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. That ugly step has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Your wheelchair access really blows. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. That ugly step has got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go. It's got to go.
That was a great award. I can't believe I got that award. I finally got a picture with Sweeney and Coughlin a few weeks ago. And I tried to talk to Sweeney about this because, he's supposed to be, helpful with this kind of stuff. So Cody, too. I tried to ask Cody to help us. So it's an uphill battle. That was pretty amazing. It was the Mike Leone Accessibility Award that I won for all this stuff that I do, like all the podcast and the wheelchair accessibility stuff. So I won this Mike Leone Award, which was amazing. And then because of that, the assembly gave me this, and then Josh Gottheimer gave me this, which was amazing. So it was like, wow, that was a blessing. It really was a blessing. I'm so blessed to get those. It really helps us with our cause, So it's hard, a lot of hard work. People don't realize what we went through to get these, but it's been an uphill battle. But yeah, I'm very proud of these two. Yeah. Thank you. That's Mikey made that. That's me, a little version of me. Awesome.
Do you want to go outside?
Yeah. You want to go up the street? Let me grab this. Okay.
Should I just get room noise for 1 minute?
Oh. Mm-hmm.